2018, August, I was in Georgia, me and my husband, and I got a phone call from one of his friends that said Mike had been in an accident. And I said, well, how serious is the accident? And he said, he hit his head and, had to go through some surgery, and now just fell to pieces.
So I was home, and I remember I was laying down in bed watching TMZ, and that's when they passed it over, and I was like, what? What?
I remember getting a call from Nicola, and it was very hurtful to know that my grandson had gotten hurt.
They never told me Michael was in the hospital, never told me nothing about him. And Jordan had a picture of him laying up in the bed. And that's when I couldn't believe that was my grandson, and I broke down.
This is a situation that happened to somebody that's, very traumatic.
God has blessed him. He's still here. Most people would not have made it through something as traumatic as that, but he's standing tall. He's blessed.
Okay.
My name is Aiden Gavimi. I'm a lawyer at Starpoint Law.
Aiden, take one. ACAM.
My decision to take the case was twofold. First, we looked at the injury, and it was absolutely catastrophic. So that was the first reason, I guess, I took the case. The second reason was just Michael in general. I mean, the sweetest kid I've ever met.
My name was Michael Young, and I was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Maybe about 30 minutes away on a small town little reservation, down a little dirt road with all my family.
Michael was very neat in everything, and he liked to dress. Everything had to match.
Growing up, I never had an outlook on fashion. I just kind of always looked out for myself. I mean, I wanted to dress nice, present myself nicely. I always was told your first appearance is your best appearance, so you always have to look good.
He loved people. When he was small, he loved people. He had a great personality in high school.
He got along well. Michael could get along with anybody. He was very easygoing. He would always say, "Mama, I'm not staying back here on this dirt road when I get older."
Growing up, I got really close with my grandmother. She meant everything to me. She taught me a lot about church. She taught me a lot about respect.
I think he looked at Grandma as an idol. I wasn't a grandma to him. I was their best friend.
She was the most influential person in my life. She taught me wrong from right. I have the entire right side of my body tattooed. It's her favorite Bible verse. I wrote this in my second high school. I didn't really know anyone, had to make all new friends. I crossed a friend, his name was Antonio, a really good friend.
They were always hanging out 24/7. Anytime you call my oldest brother, he'd be like, "Hey, I'm with Michael." Then they started working together at McDonald's. And from there, he moved into our home, and it's just always been a brotherly bond since then.
Being that I wasn't living in the county that I was supposed to be living in, I was driving every day. He was a really good friend of mine, and his family offered to allow me to live with them to then enroll into the school that I wanted and to graduate from the school that I wanted. And thank God I did. I moved to New York when I was 17.
He was pursuing his career in the modeling side of things, and it was a better opportunity for him.
At first, I thought Michael was going to be a lawyer. When that didn't lead to that road, I saw him being a model, by his neatness, the way he wanted to dress, the way he acted,
It took more of energy, my self-effort, monies to get to these locations, taking the time off of the work that I could find. The exposure and the lifestyle was the best it got.
And that's when my uncle took him in as well. And he was staying with my uncle for a little bit. And he had transferred over his job from the McDonald's in North Carolina to the McDonald's in Edgewater, New Jersey.
I got to meet him in the neighborhood and in the Alpine area. That's how I got to meet. I think in a supermarket we got to meet. So with him we became friends, and I invited him to the restaurant, and I know he was looking for work back then, and I invited him to a restaurant to see if he could help me over there in the city. And so he came over, and he started bringing people that he knew, other friends. So he was kind of promoting the venue in a way, and working with me over there, helping me.
The more people that I brought to his restaurants, the more he seen my face, the more he got familiar with me, he started really grow a liking to me. Like, we became really good friends.
There were a lot of times where he had to work 2 different jobs or had to figure out, a better source of income.
I couldn't afford to pay my bills if I didn't go work. You can't have a house if you don't go work. You don't have a car, you don't go work. You want to be a model, you gotta go get it. But that's aside from working a job and paying your bills.
I'm gonna say probably 2015, 2016, at Alchemy Studios on 14th Street. There was a fashion show, kind of exhibition run by Source Models Incorporated. That's the first time I met Michael. Nice guy, real personable, great model. He just knew his angles right off the bat.
And that's where everything just kind of flourished and took off from there. I seen that it was actually starting to flourish. He was starting to do a lot more shoots, a lot more modeling with, full outfits for Adidas, and actually making his portfolio.
I kept getting a lot of opportunities from Los Angeles. Los Angeles is more kind of where I felt that you need to begin. New York is where I felt that you had already began and you're superior and you've made it, you can survive in New York. Being here and making it happen was the dream, so none of it was a downfall. All of it was a part of becoming a model. And I took the risk without having an agent or an agency, but I knew this is where I needed to start. Allow me to begin by apologizing for being absent the past 4 years. I've endured the most unimaginable things and occurrences. My immediate ones were there, and I appreciate and I love you for that. And I'm not going to spoil everything with this because I've learned too many valuable lifelong lessons that I genuinely care to share with anyone reading or listening to these. On the day of August 10th, 2018,
Michael was invited to a birthday party.
It was my friend's birthday. She invited us to go to a restaurant that had turned into a nightclub.
He was approached by defendant Norman Thuricorn, who was wearing a red jacket that day.
The stranger has his phone out in the air, attempting to take pictures with me. Oh, you're so good looking. Oh, you're a good looking man. Oh, you're a model, blah, 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 blah. Let's take a picture. I had no interest. I didn't show him any interest.
Mr. Thuricorn made unwelcome advances towards our client.
After his belligerent slurs, he spit in my face. Everyone at the table stood up and pushed him away. I myself turned around in my chair and went the opposite direction. I didn't think to look back. I didn't think anything of it. I thought to do the right thing. On the way to security, not thinking to look over my shoulder, look back, I'm struck from behind and I fall forward.
And he assaulted our client, and it caused just a terrible, terrible head injury.
I hit a structural beam. The structural beam ruptured the right side of my skull. I was instantly unconscious.
Michael! Michael! There we go. I'm gonna open your eyes real quick. Can you show me 2 fingers? Michael, show me 2 fingers.
When I woke up, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know a mom, I didn't know a dad, I didn't know a name, I didn't know anyone. The people in my life, the family members on the reservation, the places I visited, the places I've lived, don't exist. And I was unfortunately posted and broadcasted over every news platform, TMZ. All of my family and friends, personal people who all knew, it was just honestly embarrassing at the time. I had moved and worked my entire life to wake up with half a skull in Beverly Hills. It felt like a dream. I thought, I didn't think it was real.
My name's Topher Stevenson. I'm a physical medicine and rehabilitation specialist, and I focus on brain injury. Rehabilitation of a brain injury is a team sport. It takes multiple different specialists from multiple backgrounds, and if they can coordinate, they will be able to arguably make a difference in that patient's life.
So this is a replica of my skull. I was given this when I was in the hospital to give me a diagram of what happened to me and what was possible to happen to me in the future. As I'm falling down, the last thing I remember is turning my head so that way my face wasn't ruined. When I turned my head to the right, the beam hit this part of my skull. They had to remove the right side of my skull so that way my brain could swell and I'm not brain dead. If they didn't, I wouldn't be here today. Whenever the right side of my skull was cut out, my temporal muscle decayed and died inside of my head. They would go in my face, in my mouth, and in my nose and drill and to drain about 1 milliliter of brown fluid from my skull every month.
If you look at an average person that has a brain injury, you don't see that they've had a brain injury. What you see is a person who's walking, talking, interacting, doing whatever the activity is. What you don't see is that there's this constellation of symptoms that they're experiencing, and that constellation of symptoms affects the way they experience their world, and it affects the way they interact with their world.
Almost every single day of my life, I felt pain after my surgery. There's emptiness in the entire right side of my head. And that's what I feel. Nothing but a piece of paper protecting what's known as my skull.
What we have to do is get to know the patient. In this case, we got to know Mike, and we needed to understand, hey, what areas, where are you suffering is essentially what it boils down to. Basically, we just have to practice being good doctors. We sit down with the patient, we spend time with them, we get to know them, examine them, and then we come up with a plan that is then, essentially that plan is created with the patient, because it's got to revolve around them. It's their life.
I've had every therapy that you could ever imagine. I've had memory therapy, I've had occupational therapy, I've had physical therapy, I've had walking therapy, I've had memory therapy, brain therapy.
He was having to learn how to walk, simple things like separating his medicine, He had to learn all of that.
Hours, every single day, I'd be given different brain games. All day, every day. Look at this picture. Close, turn it away. Now draw the same exact picture 10 seconds later. I'm gonna read you a sentence, and you tell me that sentence back. I'm gonna tell you a story, and you tell me every detail of that story that I just read you. I'm gonna give you a list of numbers, and you put those numbers in order.
Try to talk to him about things that maybe have happened 10 plus years ago from the time when I first met him. And he wouldn't realize or remember those things that I was talking about. And that's when I came to the realization that maybe his memory hadn't been fully back yet.
Headaches are incredibly common after brain injuries. Headaches and vision issues and short-term memory issues are incredibly common.
2 months of brain games, I was finally released, and the only way I was released, I had the nurses in my care at home 24/7. The nurses had to bathe me. I couldn't bathe myself. They had to feed me. Couldn't feed myself. I couldn't walk. Couldn't remember anything. Didn't know where I was at. Always had to be supervised in case I seized or in case of anything else were to ever happen.
So I decided I wanted to move out here. Also, not only for personal reasons, but also because Michael needed some help. He needed what would be considered a caretaker, somebody who would be in the house with him at all times to make sure that he's okay.
In LA, you're alone. I mean, if I'm lucky enough to have my sisters and my mom out here and my dad when he comes, but a lot of people don't have anybody out here. So we're gonna make sure that someone's there for him.
Returning to normalcy takes place every single day, every second of the day, and every second of the day since this happened.
This is a journey, and this is a journey that he will be on for the rest of his life.
Words of encouragement I'd give Michael are continue to be true to yourself.
In order for you to move forward in the future, you need to put the past behind.
You are past that. It's time to get back on track, doing what you love. Keep your head up, stay strong.
To keep trusting people and trust that your life went the way it went. You're alive today, God is good, and that you're gonna live a great life.
And I say this from the bottom of my heart, and I just hope he keeps his head straight up.
Michael, just stay who you are. Don't change for anybody. Stay who you are. And never forget where you come from off the dirt road to reservation.
You're on a journey, and this is a new journey, a new direction. Find the support and the structure that is going to allow you to be the new you.
And he's going to get all support from all of us. Support is going to happen. That's something that there's no doubt. Now it's on him.
Keep fighting. I know you're in pain. I know you don't understand. I know you hurt every single day. You can survive. You can make it. You can leave a reservation. You can get an education, but it has to be you. You have to want it.